right, today I've got Tyler Sherer with TruSteel, and want to learn a little bit about what they do, why they are good at what they do. And I see Tyler all over the place on Facebook promoting their company and promoting what they do. So want to get them on the show and pepper them with questions and see if I can learn something, and hopefully the audience can learn something. And Tyler, welcome to the show. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you. So my name's Tyler. I'm based out of Michigan. I got involved with the storages in 2012. The company I'm with, TruSteel, they're based out of Watkinsville, Georgia. So pretty much we can supply building material, labor to erect the jobs. We can do concrete depending on the size of the job as well. We do big steel buildings, aircraft hangars, but storages, I mean, that's 90% of our bread and butter.
Yeah, for sure. How long you been working for them?
Oh, I switched over to TruSteel September.
Okay. And your role is what?
So I'm project manager. Obviously I do all the stuff on Facebook as well, but pretty much I just go out, check on the job sites, do walkthroughs with the owner, make sure they're happy with everything. Unfortunately on construction sites, things happen, a door might get dented or a sheet might get damaged. So just to try to keep them happy and make sure everything's going good.
Sure. No, that makes sense. Well, let's just start at the beginning. Let's say I've got a project where I just want to expand something small. Do I reach out to you right away, or how do I go about that process?
So first, you want to, get with the engineer, figure out what you want. Then you got to, get with the city, the zoning, all that stuff. Groundwork is the biggest thing lately. Moving dirt, making sure you're ready for us. We've got multiple jobs that have been delayed 4 to 5 months just due to weather or just due to not being ready. So you want to do all them steps, and then we can get your pricing on buildings. Sometimes people want to skip them steps. We do have a guy in-house that can help with site layouts as well. We can help you with the unit mix, and then we can get your buildings ordered.
Cool. Okay. So let's pretend no one knows anything about this process, about going to the city, about getting, an engineer involved, all that stuff. Do you guys not get involved with that, or what do you suggest if someone does not know that process?
Yeah, try to help them out the best of my ability. But when they're very, very new into it, I hook them up with customers that have been doing this a long time, and they kind of walk them through the steps. Hey, this is what I had to do, or this is what I would recommend doing. A lot of times hook them up with the GC as well that actually has knowledge in the self-storage, so they can help them with all them steps.
I was just going to ask that next. Do you have GCs? Do you have GCs regionally, nationally? How does that work out?
Yeah, I got a couple different. There's 2 of them that I work with, and we can pretty much cover all 50 states, which works out extremely well. So, yeah. Cool. And a lot of people, depending on the type of loan they may have to use to even fund the project, a lot of banks make them have a GC just because, they're very new into it.
That's good to know. So is that something that from your experience that they find out from the beginning, or how does that work? Any idea?
If the bank makes them have a GC?
Yeah.
I think that just depends on what kind of loan they take out. I know a couple people, that's how it is for them. Even though now they've got 5 to 6 sites, the bank still makes them have a GC.
Interesting.
Which, it is what it is, but it always, gets frustrating, especially, at that point you have that many sites, what's going on, but now you got to pay that extra 10% to have somebody else run your project.
Right. Yeah. Well, you bring a couple good points is, one, obviously GC. So GC is basically captain of your ship, right? So if you don't know what you're doing with subs, concrete, electrical, obviously you guys putting up a building, all that stuff. A GC comes in and basically manages the entire thing. Get your subs together.
Correct. They, yep, they do everything from start to finish
Yeah.
to the date. And so,
yeah. And sometimes they're valuable. Sometimes, as like you said, if you've done 5 or 6 sites, you've already done the process, you may not need to pay that extra 10%.
right.
But yeah, and I have had very small repairs on some of my facilities, small capex repairs. And I think one tried forcing me at one point to get a GC, and I just had to kind of explain myself and tell them my history and my experience. That helped. So I'm guessing for those of you listening, every bank's going to be different. You just got to ask them what they're looking for up front. Because I noticed too that you can spend your time getting bids and quotes, and then the bank will jump in and say, well, no, you're doing it. You need to hire GC or whatever. They may change course. So find out from the get-go. That's a really good point. So it sounds like, I don't want to pigeonhole you here, but if someone is inexperienced, it sounds like you have resources outside of just what TruSteel does that you can help out and guide them along the path. Is that right?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool. All right. So let's say we do go to GC road. No, let's say we don't have the GC, because we won't learn much if we've got a GC in the mix here. Let's say no GC. We've got the permit and everything. We've got an engineer as far as the land goes. But let's say we need you guys to lay out the facility. What's that look like? How's that process?
Yeah, so we have a guy in-house. His name is Rich. He can do a site layout for you. And, we'll just do it until we get something that you like, that you're happy with, and you'll take that, get that approved. And, I mean, a lot of times people phase out facilities, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, whatever it may be. Or a lot of times we get customers, they want to do all 80,000 square feet at once and just get it over with. But that's what's nice, is having a guy in-house that can help with site layout, unit mix and all that stuff.
Do you guys look at the market and or get a feasibility study in there, or is that something you may suggest to the owner as well?
Yeah. So Rich has a software where he can pull up, job site address, shows all the storages around, pretty much look at what's most popular size for them, and kind of just does this thing to make it work. And sometimes you got to do a lot of cold calling, call around the facilities. Hey, you guys got any of these units available, and just kind of figure out, 10 by 20s are really popular, or maybe it's, 12 by 40 units that are popular. So a little bit of work involved, but at the end of the day, it's worth it.
Yep. Cool. So you guys, sounds like you help out a little bit with that. And we'll back up a little bit. If you're looking to build or expand, I would recommend getting a feasibility study first by professionals. And they're out there. I'm sure, Tyler, you probably know of some. I know of some, but they're out there. They're worth the $3 to $5 grand to get them. Peace of mind to let you know that it's either a good thing to build, and they may tell you, like, you know what, you don't need any more drive up in this area, but you could build climate controlled because the area needs it. So they're just wealth of knowledge. Before, I don't want to get too much off track, but do you guys do climate controlled?
Yep, we do climate control. We also do conversions. We do multi-level. We do boat and RV. The flex space storage actually is starting to become very popular. We're pricing a lot of those out right now. We do the canopies, just roof only to park campers or whatever under it. So, I mean, we pretty much do everything.
Cool. That's awesome. All right. So we'll get back to our project here. So we're going to build, you're going to give us the what you think the unit mix should be. What's next after that?
Yep. So we'll get you a site layout. You take that, get it approved, all that. Then, the biggest thing I would say is the excavating. That's where it could be really pricey or not pricey at all. You might have to take out a lot of dirt, bring a lot of new stuff in. Your drainage, where do you want to do your retention pond on the property if they make you do one. all that stuff. And then, the building process is easy. It's excavating, drainage, concrete, doing all that. And then, that's most important. The buildings, that's the easy part.
Yeah, you're right. That is the easy part. The retention pond, I've heard, can get really expensive. That's probably, in your experience, is that probably the toughest part in building?
Yeah, because and it all just depends on the location, what state and town you're in and how much they're going to hassle you about it. But we've seen, people, with retention ponds, they make them take up, half acre to an acre. And it's like, he doesn't need that big of a pond, but it is what it is. And unfortunately, that's what happens. And I would also say to people that are looking at property, try to buy, 3 to 5 acres. Get a lot of people, they buy an acre or two, and they fill up so quick. Well, now you don't have any room to expand, and now you might have to go buy property, an hour away. So I'd say 3 to 5 acres is a great piece of land, one building.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I've got some smaller ones too, where they were already existing, but for me to build anything is going to be minimal one. But I do have some that are kind of in between there that if I wanted to do some type of significant expansion, I would have to do a retention pond, and it's just not worth it. So yeah, it's a really good piece of advice. All right, so let's say we've got all that figured out. You guys are in the mix here. We've you said you can help out with concrete contractors if needed. Let's say the concrete's poured, all that's done. Well, one, can you give any recommendations on concrete as far as what to look for?
Yeah. We get a lot of people, hey, can you do the concrete too? And I always tell them, it has to be at least 15 to 20,000 square feet, if not more, because if not, our guys have to travel. So hotels are involved. Yep. And a lot of times it's just a lot cheaper to go with someone local. But a lot of times, these local people have never done a storage pad before. And, that 9.5-inch lip on the outside is extremely confusing to them. They don't understand what kind of purpose it serves. And when the door shuts down, if water gets behind it, it doesn't go up into the unit. So that's the biggest thing. But yeah, we have guys that we can recommend.
That's cool. Yeah, I've seen a facility that did not have that lip. And I ran. I did not. I didn't own that facility. But yeah, that's there's a lot of nuances there that you don't really think about. So obviously, bring an expert like you in. Even little questions like that can help them. So it sounds like you can do some concrete, depending on the area. And you guys are you're out of Michigan, but your company's out of Georgia. So what areas would you guys do the concrete?
I mean, it just, like I said, it just depends. I mean, concrete guys, they will go anywhere. It's just got to be worth their time. That's why I like it to be, 15 to 20,000 square feet or more. Because if it's, 12,000 square feet or whatever, I mean, it's going to be cheaper to go with someone local, obviously.
Yep. Got it. Makes sense. All right. So let's say we've got the slab in. We'll just say we're going to change our facility here. It's 20,000 square feet. You guys come in. What's the process look like? What's the timeline look like?
So, so buildings come, we unload them. The guys start working that day. A good crew, let's just say a 30 by 200 non-climate, 4 days, 4.5, 5 days, 100%. Wow. Yeah. Climate controls, those are a little bit different to kind of guess how long it would take, because it just depends on how fancy they get. What's the insulation looking like in the roof and the walls? Do we got to do foam board in the walls? Do we got to do banding in them? Are they doing diamond plates? So those ones are a little bit more difficult ballpark, I guess. Yep.
Well, and timeline, and I would love to ask what's timeline for everything, but you can't really answer it because every city, every township, every county is going to be different. Different types of permits, different process. So it's really hard to tell. But I will ask, what's the fastest that you've seen a project completed from start to finish? And maybe what's a longer period that you've seen?
Oh, so we had a gentleman here in Michigan. I think he did a little over 100,000 square feet of boat and RV. And I would say from the time from moving dirt till he opened, I want to say he was about 3.5, 4 months.
Okay. And
And I
that was boat
actually
and
had a
RV.
job.
So that's just structures, right? No doors, or were there doors?
No, there's doors on them, all
Okay.
enclosed. Yep. And then I actually I had a project a couple years ago out of state. That building sat on, I unloaded that building and it sat on the ground for a little over a year until he was ready.
Wow. That's crazy.
Just
So yeah, why?
because he couldn't find no excavators where he was at, concrete guys, and it was just a mess. But yeah, that job sat on the ground for exactly 1 year until we're able to go back and build it. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, there's contractors are obviously a reason for some
Oh yeah,
delays.
totally.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
that's nice too.
Go ahead.
And like having GC, that's what's nice too, because most GCs, I mean, they keep the ball moving. Like, let's go, let's get this done and get on to the next one.
Yep. Well, and yeah, GCs are going to help. And I've also seen people try to pinch pennies and go with a smaller Jim Bob and his cousin's going to move the dirt for you. Well, guess what? They're going to be out there 7,000 times because they didn't do it right the first 6,000 times, and they're going. Yeah, it's better to go with a bigger company that's reputable. Just more resources.
Yeah, and a lot of people, they want to save a little bit of money. I mean, who doesn't want to? But it's like, if you would have paid that extra dollar a square foot, man, you already would have been done. I said, now you got more money into it than you originally would have had. But they try to save money in the beginning, and in the end, it just ends up costing them more money.
Yep, absolutely. Excuse me. Absolutely, good point. So you got the building up. I'm assuming you guys put the doors in, right?
Yep.
What doors do you guys use? Are you allowed to say?
Yeah, so we use TrackRite and Janus.
Okay.
Me personally, just because I have actually built these, all over the United States, I like TrackD better. That's my opinion. But I got a lot of customers. They like Janus doors or Wayne Dalton doors. So whatever doors they want, that's what we get them. But I like TrackRite. That's just my opinion.
Why do you like them, and what should someone look for indoors?
They're a lot easier to install than Janus or Wayne Dalton. And it's just a good functioning door. I mean, you got the springs on both sides of the doors, which makes it really nice, except for the smaller doors. They only have one spring on them, but they just operate really, really good. They look incredible when you first put them in, nice fresh paint job. And the Janus doors, to me, as soon as you install them, they look like they've been there for 20 years. Just my opinion, but
yeah. No, this is all good information. I would say TrackD's probably more common, right?
Oh yeah, I mean they've been around a long time.
Yeah. Cool. I'm trying to think of other questions, because that's basically just of the building process. Obviously, you can have delays and you can have issues. What kind of warranty do you guys supply?
So we have a 25-year building warranty, and then our erector has a 5-year labor warranty.
Okay.
That he does.
And obviously doors are separate. What about the roof?
I'm not sure on the roof, honestly. I know there is a warranty on it. I can't remember how long it's good for.
That's separate. You guys don't provide that. That's a separate.
No, that's included in our contract.
Okay, just different warranty other than the building.
Correct. Yeah.
Got it. Makes sense. So the question that I'm sure everyone's is wondering is, what's pricing look like?
So yeah, everybody always asks that.
I know it's going to be, and if you got to be general, that's fine.
all ballparking, and a lot of people, they go, oh, you said ballparking, this all just depends on state, location, your snow load. If we're doing, quarter 12 roof, 312 roof, 412, standing seam, screw down. So just many factors play in that. But I would say non-climate, 30 by 200, material and labor, probably right around $14 a square foot. Climate and climate gets tricky because it all depends on how fancy you want to get with it. I mean, you could be anywhere from $15 a square foot to 21 a square foot. So there's a lot that goes into that. Conversions, it's where, you buy an abandoned warehouse, we go in there and put up some units. Those you're probably about 12 to $13 a square foot. Maybe a little bit cheaper.
Yeah. What about, we're not going to talk earthwork because there's so many variables there. What about concrete? Any idea on price per square foot for concrete?
Yeah. So concrete's really weird. So, I mean, I have a guy in Ohio, $5 a square foot. My guy out in Oregon, he was $13 a square foot. Yeah. So, and those are two different numbers. So, yeah, concrete's been really weird lately. So, most people, though, I think they're seeing between $5 to $7 a square foot. Again, my guy in Ohio was $5. My guy in Oregon 13. So,
yeah, that's what I've seen in Ohio too, 5 to 7.
Yep.
Yeah, obviously, you've got labor in there, you got a bunch of factors in there. So before we get into just some typical podcast questions that I like to ask, what have I missed? What else do you want to share?
I think we pretty much covered it all, really. I don't really have anything, not unless you got any more.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, it's simple on paper, but obviously there's a lot of nuances that go into each project. But it sounds like you're a wealth of resources that someone can reach out to you. And I've seen and I've heard too good things about you. And I'll be honest, I've not used you, but still wanted to get you on the show because I figured would be a valuable resource.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I would say though, another big thing when doing a new site is where you put the entrance. I would say that's most important. And doing the correct drive aisles. A lot of people want to do 20-foot drives or this and that. I mean, most common 30 feet wide, unless you got big boat and RV, then you might be, you might have a 70-foot drive or whatever it may be. But I would definitely say that entrance to access the facility is pretty huge.
Yep. That's a great point. And obviously you guys will help people with that process, but I screwed up on my first facility where I put the drive or moved the drive to, and it basically pigeonholed me to where I couldn't build another building. And my reason for putting the entrance where I did was because where the electrical meter was, and the electrical panel. So bad reasoning. I did not get an expert involved. So it cost me to, couldn't expand. So yeah, it's a great point. So what's one thing that you guys are better at than your competitors?
Oh, I don't know if I should say it. No.
Or what sets you apart?
I would say for us, and other companies, obviously they can do in-house site plans. And there's a couple that can provide labor, but, for us, it's, I think us being able to include our labor prices with, the building price, that the owner has to cut one check. He doesn't have to cut multiple, where other companies you may call them, you might buy a 40 by 200 and they will say, hey, we don't do labor, but you can call this guy, Rick, he'll give you a labor price. You know what I mean? So I think that's a big thing for us. We have great lead times. I mean, we tell everybody 8 weeks, but if they're ready, we can have buildings hitting the ground 4 to 6 weeks easily. But, with Mother Nature, unfortunately, a lot of people aren't ready. So even 8 weeks is too early. We're pushing jobs back just to let them get caught up on all their dirt work, their concrete.
Yep. Yep. No, that's great. Is there any type of like new thing coming on or technology that you guys are implementing?
Hmm. Not that I can think of.
No, it's pretty basic, pretty simple. I figured
Yeah.
that'd be a tough
Yeah.
question to answer, but figured I'd still ask it.
Yeah. Not that I'm aware of, but you never know.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. Well, this has been awesome, man. Definitely informative. Obviously there's going to be people that want to know more. Where can people find you?
Facebook's a pretty big one. Or TruSteel Buildings has a website as well, on Google, or my email I can put on here somewhere so people can see that as well.
Cool. Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, appreciate you coming on, sharing a ton of information here. And if anyone's looking to build or expand, definitely reach out to Tyler. Appreciate you coming on, man.
Yes, thanks, brother.
Thanks for following, subscribing, and listening to this episode of the Do More podcast hosted by John Farling. To learn more or ask questions, go to l4investing.com.